Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gorman Ruggiero, and I'm the author of a book called 30 Plays for Child Actors. This book is the work of the culmination of almost 40 years of work with children in the theater, and I've selected 30 plays from my collection to present to you, and it's a wonderful book for reading. And I'm going to talk about my work with children and why I wrote these plays and how it came about. But first, I would like to show you a short 6-minute video of some of my work in China, and it'll give you a wonderful idea, a more comprehensive idea of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And so please enjoy yourself, and I will speak with you after this video and answer all your questions, comments, observations, critiques, whatever you would like to say. Thank you very much, and enjoy this video. My name is Gorman Ruggiero. I'm a theater director, actor, producer, and playwright. I have worked with children for over 35 years developing theater productions for children, with children as the actors. When I came to the school, the English Experimental School, we talked about doing a version of Snow White. And through our discussions, I was really impressed with the teachers and the administration. They were talking about doing something with Chinese culture. So I asked them, well, maybe I can adapt the play with Chinese cultural elements, which we did. 50 children, which is unusual. There's not very many plays out there with 50 characters, but we have Snow White, we have the 8 pandas, we have bumblebees and plum blossoms and all kinds of other characters. And each child has speaking parts, movement, dance, and they sing. The purpose of this camp is to introduce children into the wondrous world of theater, to teach them acting, to teach them to use their imagination, but most importantly, to communicate. teach them how to communicate using physical, emotional, and intellectual content. I've been preparing for this camp for about 3 weeks. When I found out we had 50 students, I knew I had to write a play because there's very few plays out there with 50 characters, and you'll never find any for children with speaking parts. So I wrote this adaptation of Snow White with the intent of making sure every child had speaking roles. I wrote the play. I hired some fantastic artists. Rena is our dance director, choreographer. Hem is our musical director. He's also a virtuoso pianist. And we put our heads together and came up with a variety of different ideas to work with the songs and the dances. And I let them design their own work because they're the experts. So we kind of put our heads together and we came up with some really nice, interesting pieces that the children can perform. Each and every single child has improved in levels of confidence, articulation of English, and especially understanding emotional content and how to express it. Yes, everyone.
Hello, my name is Rena. I'm a dance director and a choreographer for the camp. I can see a lot of changes. They really, first day they were very shy, and day by day they really start to show them personality, confidence with us. It's really cute that kids can change in so fast time.
I'm William Brico from Manila, Philippines. I'm happy to join this company to make this winter camp. So I can teach them the nursery rhyme as well, alphabets, colors and shapes, and etc. for the kids. Ever since the camp started, I saw a lot of them there doing well.
First of all, children, listen to me. Come to me. That's what I would like to say. I would also like to say Anjing and Ting Ma. But most importantly, I would like to say you did all your work. You made an agreement with me that you would work hard and have a great show, and you kept your agreement. And I want to thank you for keeping that agreement. Now, today, during this performance, just go and have fun. You did all the work. Remember your positions and go have fun.
Be themselves, relax, don't be shy, and don't think that they can do it, because I don't believe that I can do it. It's just I don't want to do it. So they must be relaxed, and everything will be okay.
Before you go out, just keep practicing, whatever they want.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Every time I see that video, it just brings back such great memories. One of the most important things that it reminds me of is the importance of children to be interacting with each other in live intrapersonal and interpersonal communication processes without videos, digital devices in between them. And that's the whole purpose of my work. I will relate a quick story. In 1982, when I first started working with children, I was walking through the park one day in Saratoga Springs, New York, and I saw a group of children huddled around another little boy who had an electronic device in his hand. And it struck me as weird because usually as I go through the parks, I would see the kids running around with their parents, jumping, playing, interacting. And this was just, they were all huddled and they were mesmerized by this little electronic gadget, which I didn't even know what it was really. And I looked at that and I thought, this is interesting. There's something about this. And it gave me a very strange feeling. I thought, this may not be very good for children's communication skills and relationships. And here we are 40 years later, and all my fears came true. So I've been spending most of my time working to counter my fears of children being overwhelmed with the digital world. So I have a comment from Hanson Cray. This looks fun. These kids are so adorable. Yes, the children, any group of children in the theater that I've had, it's just an incredible experience to watch them work. Specifically with the exercises and the techniques that I teach them, it really loosens them up and frees them, and they really become quite imaginative and use their creativity in many surprising ways. The reason I wrote this book, it started out, I just wanted to make some money working with children in the theater. I had my acting company from New York in Saratoga Springs, New York. And so to make some extra money on the side, I decided to go to the elementary school and see if I could work with children. I began to work with these children. After a few weeks, the teachers went to the principal and asked if they could talk with me. And principal called me in, and I thought there might be something wrong or something I was doing wrong. And she said, no, the teachers want to know what you're doing because the children are responding to each other better in class. They're paying attention. They're listening better. And they're waiting till another person finishes speaking before they jump in. And that's all part of the process I teach. It's called feedback response technique, which is a series of rules and conversational techniques that I teach the children so they can learn communication skills and thereby be able to approach an acting technique. I would like to talk about how many hours a day our children, your children, spend in front of a screen. Because early on, when I told you that story about the child with the little electronic device in the park, that all came true. My fears were founded pretty much common sense. So I wrote my second play was a play called Stefan the Pip and the Stolen Star. And the full-length version is in this book. It's turned into an hour and 45-minute musical. And for all age ranges, you can put 100 kids in this show. You can have less, but I've had 100 kids on stage with this production. So the play the theme of that play is the dangers of supplementing interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships with digital relationships. It's not healthy for the brain. We know now that the development of the brain and the latest research shows that the brain is more like a rainforest. There were all these theories for many, many years. And as we've learned more and more about the brain, and I'm a master's of science and psychology with a specialty in autism and brain function. What we know about the brain now is that everything we do causes the brain to change in significant ways. For instance, from the minute you started watching this computer, consider plugging in my device. Okay. I think my battery's low here. So let's see if we can hold on. In any case, from the time you started watching this video, your brains have all changed. My brain has changed in significant ways. Throughout this whole process, our brains continue to change. So whatever we put in our children's environment, whether it's toys, people, electronic devices, all those things have an effect on the brain. So my advice is to find out how many hours a day your child is actually in front of a screen. And by screens, I mean telephone, video games, electronic devices, movies, computers in school. Even if they're doing homework, they're still in front of a screen. And to figure out how many hours that is and to try to determine what's healthy and what's not. Jared Pedalana commented, nice to see you again, Gorman. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it. Just want to check my battery here real quick because I don't think my computer's plugged in. I apologize. And okay, I think I'm going to be good. In any case, so if you have any questions or comments about the video or about the work that I've done with children over the years, please interrupt me. In the meantime, I'd like to go on and talk to you about why I decided to continue writing plays for children and how important it is for children to be in a discipline that encourages face-to-face interactions where they can learn 3 areas of communication that are the most important for children. The areas are physical communication, where you transmit emotional and physical and intellectual ideas with your body alone. Emotional content, where you understand and are able to communicate your emotional life to the person you're dealing with. And intellectual communication, which also includes verbal communications. I'm not talking about writings. I'm talking about verbal communication and interactions, live interactions with other people. One of the most important things for personal and professional success in relationships is communication skills. I used to write that on the board when I did my presentations, and I did presentations for many people, attorneys, doctors, medical professionals, psychologists, teachers, special education teachers. And I would always write on the board history, English, science, communication skills, and math. And I would ask them, what do you think is the most important area of expertise children should develop in order to have success in professional and personal relationships? Almost 100% of the people over the years have pointed to communication skills. That doesn't say the rest of the subjects are irrelevant. That says communication skills should be up there and elevated to the level of these other subjects. And so the question would be, why do we not have formal communication skills programs in all of the schools? Considering the way children are interacting with each other these days, considering the way society is breaking down in terms of interpersonal communications, we should be talking about this every day, all day. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask me. And I'll continue talking about my book. Oh, Jared Petalena commented, how do child actors balance their education and acting careers, and what support systems do they have in place to ensure they are still able to grow and develop as individuals? Child actors do not, well, first of all, remember that acting is part of their educational and neurological development. Communication skills, which is the foundation of acting, is communication skills. So that should be just as important as all their other areas that they study. Math, science, history, communication skills should be right there with them. So if you're talking about helping children be better in their other subjects, which we've seen this occur, you should encourage them to take acting, dance, a musical instrument, any kind of performing arts, martial arts, anything where they can use their body, become aware of their bodies, deal with emotional content, and learn to express it. For the most part, the theater encompasses all of those disciplines, and children exposed to the theater while working as performers will develop a better outlook on their own lives, more positivity, and self-confidence. Very key. So to continue with my theme of taking children away from the digital prisons that we're putting them in, it's very, very important to get them into the theater. So you can take this, you can purchase this book. I published this book as a form of dramatic literature that's for reading. Now, these plays can all be performed. This particular edition does not have all the stage directions, the list of props, the costumes lists, and all that. I wrote this specifically to be read as literature. So you take these plays, you copy them, and instead of having a game night, you can have a let's read a play night where children and the family can interact with each other in a fun way, exciting way, and learn a lesson. Because each of my plays always have messages and lessons for the children, which they discuss as we rehearse. So you can read these plays as a way of getting conversation going. You could do it on movie night. Before the movie, take a 5-minute play or a 2-minute play or a 20-minute play and have everybody in the family read a part or a couple of parts. If you have adults over for a family party or friends party, take a play, assign everyone a role, and interact. Learn how to express your emotions. Become familiar with emotional content and the importance of acting and communicating face-to-face without an electronic device between you. Jessel Page commented, how do you communicate effectively with children? The most important thing to learn about children, of course, everyone knows this, is patience. Some children take a long time to say something, sometimes minutes. My most effective thing that I've learned over the years in terms of communicating with children is to wait until they get their thoughts together and out to you, not rushing them along. Don't try to finish their comments. Don't try to put something in their brain that they're really not thinking about. Just listen and give them the time to spit it out, basically. This is also true with children on the autism spectrum, which I'm an expert with. Kelly W. Mates commented, hi, Gorman. I agree that developing communication skills can prepare these children in the real world. Thank you, Kelly. Much appreciated. It's very, very key these days. Megan Miller commented, how did you ensure the emotional health and stability of the children during training? Oh, that's what the training's all about. The training is all about getting them to feel confident and healthy, and to make sure, see, if you're an acting teacher and you're working with children, you have to, from my point of view, you have to have awareness and knowledge of child development. I'm a MS in science and psychology, so I have an advantage over the team. But I learned all that. I got interested in psychology because early on when I started working with children, I realized, hey, I better learn more about child development so I can pinpoint and tailor my exercises and my activities to fit the level of development the children were at that time. So if my battery pops off, I'm sorry. I just can't get up and plug it in. Ann O. Hall commented, did you have any problems with handling children with autism? There are many issues surrounding the work with children with autism. I wouldn't call them problems, but there are some challenges. Some are bigger challenges than others. The biggest challenge with children with autism is getting them to understand that they have gifts. They have so many positive attributes. One of the biggest challenges, I mean, I usually say this to parents all the time, partially a joke, but not really. I have a lot of parents who have child problems, but I have a lot of children who are on the autism spectrum with parent problems. So the key is, and that's not denigrating parents. Parents want to protect their child, especially if they're on the spectrum. Their child is wounded, say, and they feel that they have to take special care of that child. However, we cannot forget that children on the spectrum are still children. They will still manipulate you. They will still be spoiled. They can still be spoiled, but they still need boundaries. So those are the challenges to deal with. Sandy commented, what was one misconception you had about autism that changed after working with children with autism? I'll tell you honestly, Sandy, I started working with children on the autism spectrum in 1981 before they were being diagnosed. The school was sending me children who had what they considered problem behaviors. And it wasn't until the 90s, the mid to late 90s, that I realized, looking back, the children that I had been working with in the 80s were on the autism spectrum. They just weren't being diagnosed. They weren't diagnosing as much as they were once the 90s rolled around, and they become more aware. People became more aware of the autism issues. So my misconception, the only misconception I had was I didn't know it was autism in the beginning until I started training as a psychologist and learning more about autism. It was until 10 to 12 years later, I realized while working with mental health facilities that the children I had been working in these acting programs in Saratoga Springs, New York, many of them were on the autism spectrum, and many of them had other special needs that I began to recognize also. How can your book contribute to the development of life skills and mutual understanding among children, including those on the autism spectrum? Very important point. Thank you, Hyacinth. Most of my productions in the later years combined typically developing children as well as children on the autism spectrum. So I combined these two populations, and it worked out beautifully because the typically developing children began to understand more about the idiosyncrasies of children on the spectrum, and children on the spectrum began to make great relationships with children who were typically developing. And the mutual respect was amazing to watch these kids go through the process. And for children to learn about autism, even if they don't have it, is really a valuable way to educate them in communication skills. Gail Blair commented, "What did you admire about these children?" What I admire about the children is their ability to overcome the need to take a risk and get up in front of a class and perform. What I did was early on, and I still do this, no one's obligated to perform in my classes. If they come and join the class, we have some children who are reticent, some children who may be on or not on the spectrum who are reticent or shy. My first rules are you don't have to get up and do anything in front of the class. You can't leave the class without permission or with another parent, and you can't interrupt my class. So it may take some kids a day or a week or an hour or 2 weeks. Eventually, they all begin to interact because the most interesting thing in the room is the children who are interacting with each other in these processes. Megan J. Miller commented, "Do you also train their active listening skills?" Absolutely. From day one. The minute they get into a room with me, they are learning about the importance of listening. And I'll tell you what, it's very key. I have a process called feedback response technique where children will get up and perform, 4 to 6 year olds and above, get up and perform an improvisational game. And then we sit down and everyone gets to comment on what they saw and what they thought was happening. And the performers get to interact with the children who are observing in what I call a critical critique process. And that's the feedback response technique. So listening is key. And I